Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Junkie. This episode we will be covering the Titan implosion. This may be difficult for some viewers, so viewer discretion advised. So let's go down the rabbit hole of the Titan implosion and investigate.
OceanGate's Director of Marine Operations produced a document warning of the, quote, potential dangers to passengers of the Titan as the submersible reached extreme depths. And a few months after, others in the industry sent Rush a letter telling him that his experimental approach could lead to catastrophic problems, Current Affairs reports. In interviews, he reportedly showed levels of self-confidence, and some of his statements allegedly include the following: I have broken some rules to make this. The carbon fiber and titanium, there is a rule that you don't do that. Well, I did. At some point, safety just is pure waste. I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. The sub-industry is obscenely safe because they have all these regulations, but it also hasn't innovated or grown because they have all these regulations.
Innovative approach flies in the face of the submersible orthodoxy, but that is the nature of innovation. We have heard the baseless cries of "you are going to kill someone" way too often, and I take this as a serious personal insult.
There were a lot of concerns with how the Titan was put together and built. Why wasn't it certified? Without the submersible being certified, I think that was a very, very big mistake.
Clip of that video of him making that statement right here.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
Now, specifically on that point, scientists have said that having that mixture of materials in the hull was a red flag for anybody with any engineering background because of the nature of the contraction and expansion under pressure of the hull going to great depths, that you're going to have micro fractures accumulating over time, that the integrity of the ship is not going to rebound fully, and that over time eventually this sort of tragedy was inevitable.
He also went ahead and called the passengers mission specialists, so they weren't held liable if there were problems or even death.
Along with the importance of safety, Rush had a reputation for cutting corners and was known for hiring young engineers out of college who had the same passion for exploring as him, rather than experienced deep-sea engineers. He would state that this was to inspire the younger generation, and while I do believe that is a noble desire, there also has to be a balance to ensure the safety of everyone on board.
They let the customers or passengers wear a shirt that said mission specialist on it instead of customers and passengers, which I find a red flag right there, because you're trying to go against regulations and protocol just to not be held liable if death would happen. Tells me that there is a very high chance that death will be inevitable.
Warnings that were ignored. That ship's lying at the bottom of the ocean, not because of the nature of its steel or the nature of its compartments, but just because of bad seamanship. The captain was warned, there were icebergs ahead, it was a moonless night, and he plowed ahead for whatever reason.
That this is not going to make it, and that maybe you're a guinea pig, maybe this was something that they were just like a trial type of thing. Maybe it was an experiment. But there are other thoughts that I have on, I find it kind of suspicious on the people that were aboard. Submersible the people that were on board were not just ordinary people. These people were not only billionaires, very wealthy, but they were very intelligent too. And even the 19-year-old, was in college. He had a very good mind. He was intelligent, and he had plans for the future.
Shahzada Dawood, who died in the accident, was involved in fertilizing energy, IT, and telecommunications. And his family is known as one of the richest families of Pakistan. Shahzada Dawood was serving as the vice chairman of Angro Corporation. Majority of the milk and dairy products used in the households of Pakistan are produced under the umbrella of Angro Foods, fertilizer, food, and energy sectors. Dawood and company used to actively participate in welfare works. Under the guidance Shahzada Dawood, Angro became the first Pakistani company to sign an agreement sponsored by the World Economic Forum's International Business Council. A student at Strathclyde University and had also completed his first year. He aspired to enter the Guinness Book of Records by completing the Rubik's Cube in 12 seconds at 3,700 meters deep. He had applied to Guinness World Records ahead of the trip and had been planning to set the Guinness World Record for the deepest ever completion of the puzzle once they reached the famous rack.
And was the CEO and founder of Ocean Gate, a company that offered deep-sea expeditions to tourists and researchers. He had a degree in aerospace engineering from Princeton and was a former fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy. He had broken some rules in designing the Titan submersible, which was made of carbon fiber and titanium, against industry standards. He faced criticism from some scientists who questioned the safety and testing of his vessel, which was experimental and not approved by any regulatory body. Hamish Harding. He was a British businessman, pilot, and adventurer based in the United Arab Emirates, UAE. He was the founder of Action Group and was chairman of Action Aviation, an international aircraft brokerage company with headquarters in Dubai. He traveled into space in 2022 on board Blue Origin's 5th human crewed flight, along with Jeff Bezos, Mark Bezos, and Wally Funk. He was a member of the Explorers Club, a prestigious international society dedicated to scientific exploration. Paul Henry Nargeolet was a French deep-sea explorer and Titanic expert. He was known as Mr. Titanic, and had visited the shipwreck site at least 35 times.
All the other people aboard too were very highly intelligent individuals with college education and had a very powerful and influential impact in society. Not the number one concern. The number one concern was getting it out there, doing this mission and completing it, and getting the bragging rights, I believe, that he succeeded in this mission, and that since he is new to this, he was new to this whole, the adventures and underwater exploration. He's pretty new to this whole game. So I think, in my opinion, that he definitely was doing it for to get into it, and to get the applause, some experimental equipment that he was using as well. The secondhand submersible that he was using, that he did buy, and that he did renovate, that he was doing that. He was taking used submersibles, submarines, and using and refurbishing them for a modern new era generation, a new generation mission, which probably shouldn't have been done. So he was taking secondhand submarines and using them in a new generation, taking old generation submersibles and refurbishing them for a new generation. I'm feeling for that 19-year-old boy who didn't want to go. He was very frightened. He was scared, and that breaks my heart that the young man just did it for his dad. It was Father's Day, and he wanted to do something special for his father. I'm gonna make him proud.
When a manned submarine reaches its implosion depth, the consequences are fatal. Today we take a look at what happened to the passengers when their submarine reached the depth of destruction. There are two critical crushing depths underwater. The depth that engineers say is the limit for diving, and the depth at which a submarine actually implodes. In the case of OceanGate's Titan, the limit depth where it could not resist more pressure is 4,000 meters, but now we know that it has been destroyed before reaching that depth. In fact, the maximum it could have descended is 3,800 meters, in the seabed where the remains of the shipwreck are located. Is that of director of Titanic and Avatar himself, James Cameron, who designed his own submarine with the help of Australian engineers, apart from having descended to the remains of the Titanic more than 30 times. According to Cameron, and confirmed by the Submersible Regulations Bureau, carbon fiber, the material with which the submersible's main hull was built, doesn't have the necessary specs to withstand thousands of pounds of pressure per square inch.
Integrating like a piece of ultra-tempered glass under millions of tons of pressure.
These 5 beautiful, intelligent men who have lost their lives definitely shouldn't have happened. I can imagine how they feel, how they are feeling right now in this loss, in this time. That concludes our show for today. Thank you so much. And if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe before you go. Thank you. Join me next time when we go down the rabbit hole again of mystery and conspiracy. See you next time on the Rabbit Hole Junkie.